Hi, fifth graders, Miss Brocker here. Today we have another day of independent learning. It is Wednesday, September 30th. Our two learning targets are I can round to place values up to 1 million, and a new learning target that we will work on tomorrow as well as a whole class, which is I can use rounding to estimate sums and differences. Underneath our learning targets is your to-do list for today. So think about this as a checklist as you go through your independent learning day or your independent math time today. Your to-dos are to watch this video lesson first. Make sure that you do that and watch it, the whole thing in its entirety. Work on your Wednesday slides and your Unit 1 Week 2 slides Google assignment. And then finish any work from Monday and Tuesday that you possibly didn't accomplish. Lastly, if you get done with all three of those things, then spend your extra time exploring the Unit 1 resource folder. Okay, we're going to start with a review of our rounding lesson from yesterday. We're going to do one of these, and then I'm going to show you what is new on your number of the day that is going to have you work on rounding. So let's start by looking at our number that we will be rounding. So right here, I can see this number. I'm first going to ask you to start by reading that number out loud, identifying that number. 376,421. Okay, now if you are a fifth grader who might not be feeling totally comfortable and confident with big number place value yet, then it might be a great idea for you to put this in your place value chart that you have or you're working with. One of the things that you can do, we can always start counting by our ones, our tens, our hundreds, our thousands, 10,000s, and 100,000s. Now, the reason why I just made that really fast, I know it's a little messy, is because if we are going to round to the underlined placeholder, we need to know what that placeholder is. And I see after I made my little makeshift place value chart that that underlined digit is, that 7 is in the 10,000s place. Okay, so I'm going to erase this, and we know we're going to be rounding to the nearest 10,000. Okay, now we're going to go through our steps over here on our rounding review. We're going to mark and underline what we're going to be rounding to, and that's already done for us. So I'm going to check that off of my checklist. Done. Won't always be done for you though. And then next, we're going to look at the digit to the right or the number before our number. We're going to be either changing or staying the same, and we're going to box it. And the reason why we do that is because that number is going to be making our rounding choice, whether we are going to raise it up or keep it the same. Okay, now after you've done that, what I would really like you to do is that strategy we practiced yesterday, where you're going to put your 10,000, if we keep that, if we let it rest, if we keep that 7 in the 10,000s place, or the 10,000 above. So 10,000 more than that. We're adding 10,000 more. So I'm going to start on the bottom. If you have numbers before, we're going to keep our, or to the left of your number, you're going to keep your 300,000. You're going to keep your 7 10,000s, and then everything else turns to a 0. Okay, and then think, and if you want to do this on the side of your board, you could do this. You could add 10,000 onto that. The only digit that would be changing if we raise it up is going to be that 10,000s place. So we're going to keep our 300, and then 7 10,000s plus 10,000 would be 8 10,000 or 380,000. Okay, now I know some of you chose to use a number line yesterday. This number would go on the front of your number line. You would need to find what is in between those numbers, 375,000. And then this number would go on the very end, last end of your number line. Okay, then you would place your 376,000 on your number line. See what it is closer to. Instead, we're going to use our rule right here. If that number making our number, our rounding choice is 5, 6, 7, 8, 5 or above, we're going to raise it up, a 5 or greater. Or some of you use that phrase, give it a shove. So go ahead and look at our 6. And then remember our hand motions from yesterday. That 6 tells us that we are going to raise this up to 380,000. So 376,421 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is 380,000. That is our answer. Okay, next I would like to show you what you're going to be doing that is different on your number of the day slide today. So we have been doing these each day of our place value unit, and today you're going to do one more thing. This has been crossed off on the bottom of your number of the day slides. We're going to work on this rounding. There are 5 place value holders that we're going to be rounding to using our number of the day. Okay, so this is an example. This isn't the one you'll be doing today, but you can come back and rewatch this part of our mini lesson to help you out. So our number of the day is 417,398. We're going to start down here by rounding this to the nearest 10. So right here, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite our number in blue, 417,398. And then using my red pen, I am going to go through my checklist here. First, I'm going to mark the place value I will be rounding, which is to the nearest 10. And then right next door to that, right before that, right to the right, I'm going to box that number that's going to be making our rounding choice. Okay? And I'm going to check that off my checklist. Next, I am going to write what the 10, if we were to raise it up, or the 10 if we keep it the same, 9 tens there, would be above and underneath my number. Okay? So I'm going to keep my 417,000, my 390. That would be if we keep it the same, or if we let it rest. And then adding 10 to that will give me this next number. So here's where this gets a little tricky. Imagine if you add 10 to this, your numbers are going to regroup, so they're going to look a little bit different. We can't have more than 9 ones, so I would regroup this to a 4. Okay, so that number is going to look a little different. I'm going to erase that just so once I rewrite it. Feel free to do that addition on the side of your board or even right underneath your number like I did. So keep our 417,000 and then 400. Okay, because that is 110 more. Okay, now let's look at our 8 to make our rounding choice. An 8 tells us, I'm going to look at this list over here, to raise it up or to give it a shove. 5 and above, give it a shove. 5 or more, raise the score. So this number, 417,398, rounded to the nearest 10, would be 417,400. So what you're going to do is take this answer and you are going to type this into your box right here. 400, oops, I almost messed it up. Good thing I have an eraser. 417,400. Okay, now we're not going to do all these placeholders. We're just going to do a couple. And this is kind of more rounding review for you too. So I would encourage you when you're doing this on your slides, make sure that you're showing your work on something. Okay? Because these should not be mental rounding problems for you. And even if they are, it's a good idea to check your work out. So now let's do our 10,000s, just because we're right here. So I'm going to start again by rewriting my number. 417,398. And we're going to be rounding to the 10,000s. And again, if you want to pull out your place value chart and use that to help you out with place value, that might be a good idea. Otherwise, what we could do is count ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. I'm going to underline that box. Okay. Then I am going to box the number to the right of that. That 7 is going to be making our rounding choice. So I just actually did the 2 first things on our checklist. Okay. Now, I would again recommend that you're writing the number above and the number below that you are going to be choosing from. Okay, so I'm going to keep my 10,000, and then 1,000 more than that, 10,000 more than that, not 1,000 more than that, 10,000 more than that would be 420,000. Okay, so these are our 2 choices. If you're doing a number line, you would put your 410,000 over here. You would put your 420,000 over here. And then that middle number would be 415,000. And you would place your 417,000 probably about right here. Okay, so ask yourself, what is that closer to on your number line? Otherwise, we're going to use our rule here to make our choice. 5 or above, give it a shove, and 4 or less, let it rest. So I see that my number is a 7. That means I am going to give it a shove or raise it up. So that number, 417,398, rounded to the nearest 10,000, is 420,000. Okay, like I said, we are not going to do all 5 of these, but when you do your number of the day today, you do need to do that. Okay, the other learning target that we're going to do in this mini lesson today that might be new to you is we are going to use our rounding skills to estimate sums and differences. So answers to addition and subtraction problems. Now, estimation should not be new for you. You should have talked about it a whole lot in second grade and third grade and fourth grade. But basically, to estimate means to get a really good idea of what your answer is. It's not really a guess, but it won't be exact. So when you see this problem right here, 219 plus 672, I know that your natural instinct is just going to be to line those up on top of each other and add the ones and add the tens and add the hundreds while regrouping and then get your answer. Today, that is not what you're going to do. Even on your independent practice, I think there are 3 problems where you're going to use rounding to estimate sums and differences. So we are going to make sure that we are rounding these numbers to numbers that are a little bit more friendly to work with. But they should give us a good idea of what our actual answer is close to, okay? So what you're going to do today, you are going to round to the leading place value holder. So I am going to underline our leading place value holder in both of these numbers, okay? So we're going to be rounding to the nearest 100. And I'm going to do my work on the side over here. Once we round to the nearest 100 and we have those numbers rounded, then we are going to add to estimate our sum, okay? So we're going to do 219 plus 672. Okay, so now we're going to go through kind of our rounding checklist here. I am going to be rounding to the nearest 100, so I'm going to underline my hundreds place. We're going to do 219 first. I'm going to box in my 10. My 10 is going to be making that choice. And then this might be one where you are feeling comfortable, getting more comfortable with rounding, where you can do your rounding kind of mentally without writing those 2 above and below. But we're going to do that instead, and then we'll erase it. Okay. So now if we keep our 200 the same, that will be 200. And then your answer above is going to be 100 above that, or 300. Okay. We're going to look at our 1 or our tens place to make our choice, and a 1 tells us to keep that number at 200. I'm not going to circle it because we're going to end up erasing this. Okay, I'm going to put my addition sign right here, and then we're going to do the same thing with our 672. We're going to round that to the nearest 100. So I'm going to use my tens again, 7 tens to make my choice. We either keep this at 600 or we are going to raise it up to 700. What does a 7 tell you to do? 7 tells you to raise it up to 700. So again, I'm not going to circle that because I'm going to end up rewriting it here and erase it there. 700. Okay, now once we have done this, we can go ahead and add. And if you'd like to write those on top of each other to make this a little bit easier for you, you can. But because they are friendly numbers, we're only really adding the hundreds place. 0, 0, 9. Okay, now I'm going to circle this. This is our estimated answer. Let's go ahead and just use normal addition to find our actual correct answer. So this is what we want to do today. But let's see how close we got. So 219 plus 672. Okay, I need to regroup here. 11. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 7 is 9. And we have 8. 891 is our actual answer. Go ahead and look at these real quick. Aren't they really close together? Yeah, they're only 8 away from each other, 9 away from each other. So we did a really good job of finding our estimated or our about answer. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. So I'm going to erase some of our work so we have some workspace. I'm going to start by rewriting our numbers again, a little bit bigger so they can see them. 5,654 minus 3,821. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We are going to estimate, and we're going to use our rounded numbers to get that estimate. Okay, so we're going to round these to our leading place value, which again, in this number is going to be the thousands. So I'm going to underline that, and we're going to start with 5,654. So I'm going to box the number to the right. That's making my rounding choice. We are either going to keep this at 5,000 or we're going to bump it up to 6,000. Okay. And a 6 tells you to raise it up. So we're going to use, actually going to rewrite that. We're going to use 6,000. So this number, 5,654, rounds to 6,000. Okay. We're going to do the same thing over here. We are going to box our hundreds. That's going to be making our rounding choice. We are either going to keep this at 3,000, it's already at, or we are going to raise it up to 4,000. What does that 8 tell you to do? 8 tells you to raise it up to 4,000. I'm going to erase this. I'm going to write my 4,000 down here. Now this should make this a lot easier to find your sums and differences. Now this is mental math. 4,000 from 6,000 is going to give us our estimated answer of 2,000. Okay, so here's our answer. Now let's go ahead and real quick line these up. I'm just going to do it over here as best I can. 3, 8, 2, 1, making sure that my ones place is lined up. Now we're going to actually do the subtraction and see how close our actual or real answer is to our estimated answer. So 3, 4 minus 1 is 3, 5 minus 2 is 3, and we can't take away 8 from 6, so we're going to regroup. We're going to take one of these 10s and organize it back into 10 ones. And 16 minus 8 is 8, and then we have 1. So here's our actual answer, 1,833. Now that's less than 200 away from our estimated answer over here. So that means that we did a good job estimating. So for today, when you do this estimation, the only thing you're going to do is you're going to round to the leading place value holder.